Hey everybody, this is Sam with Pro Wrestling Overtime. And I told you guys I would be back to give you guys the New Japan G1 schedule for Saturday and kind of give you a preview on it. A lot of people are doing this on their podcasts and they're doing episodes on this, and I've heard different ones griping, complaining, whining about how New Japan Pro Wrestling has changed up this tournament. It used to only be two blocks. And what they would do is concentrate on one block on one night, and then the next card, the next show, the next event would be on the other block. This year they've decided to go to four blocks and have 28 wrestlers just to make it more exciting. I understand why a lot of people are griping. I agree with them that it probably would have been better with 32 wrestlers or 36 wrestlers. Um, each wrestler is not getting the 9 matches that they used to get. They're getting 6. And a lot of people have came up with different scenarios where wrestlers they're rooting for or that they feel are good are not going to get the points that they feel that they should, or get seen or talked about the way they feel they should. I don't really have a comment on that. I I mean that is an issue, but the tournament is the same length. You have the same amount of days to talk about different people to be wowed. You don't have as many matches. They're not as tired. But a lot of people are saying it's not as grueling, it's not as uh, overcoming obstacles, mental obstacles mostly. And to that I agree. Dave Metzler talked today about how he thinks this G1 is weaker than normal. And I totally understand that. I mean, the one guy I wanted to see isn't in this, and that's Brian Danielson. I think we all know that he's been out with a concussion. We're not sure when he's coming back. I know he had planned on trying to be there for the G1. He was even talking about taking his family with him and they could see Japan. So I don't know if that's a possibility, maybe next year. But here's the thing, I'm doing the G1 marathon basically. I'm going to try to watch, all the cards, give you all the previews, give you all my thoughts on it. I think we can gripe as much as we want until July 16th, tomorrow. However, once the matches begin, I think we need to settle down, quit whining and complaining about who's not here, and enjoy the different matches and how they're being presented this year. The four block format has been used before. It's not a brand new concept. I think we need to give attention and talk about and focus on the wrestlers that are here, what they can do, and what they do. Now, I told you I'm doing the G1 Climax Tournament marathon basically. And so, one of the things that I was thinking about last year when I was thinking about doing it was, is the G1 tournament fatigue that people talk about, is it real? Is it something they just want to whine about? And Dave Metzler has always talked about how this is real, especially if you're trying to keep up with other wrestling. Well, I am. I'm going to be keeping up with SummerSlam, Ric Flair's last match. I'm going to be doing some traveling during this, so it may get even rougher. But I'm looking forward to writing you guys um, almost every day about it, and it is what I am hoping will keep me from getting G1 tournament fatigue. I know that it is a real thing. On Sunday, on July 17th, it's not going to be that bad. I'm used to staying up late and preparing things. So staying up for the 1 a.m. start Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, it's not going to be that bad. The tournament's probably going to be over, I would say 3:34. I'll go, settle down, do my notes, and kind of go to bed. Get, I hope is normal sleep, and then get ready for Raw and my normal day. However, as I'm coming to you right now on this podcast, um, I'm afraid that if I record Saturday night's episode and Sunday's preview, you guys may hear me be a little tired because on Friday night, which is tonight, I've already watched WWE SmackDown and it was horrible. And I watched AEW's Rampage and it was okay. I'm You guys know that I like AEW and it just, I don't know, it didn't hit me right. Some of the matches just, ooh. But anyway, I'm in the process now of recording this episode for you, but I'm also going to do some work on the Daily Sports Betting Overtime podcast, putting out a golf episode on golf bets that I made earlier today that are going to be taking place on Saturday, some head to head. I'm going to be trying to figure out my numbers on baseball. I'm going to try to figure out my numbers on soccer. And then I'm going to try to record those podcast episodes and get those out. Because the New Japan G1 tournament doesn't start until 4 a.m. And it's probably going to run, I would think, till about 7 a.m. because it's the first night. And I know what a lot of you are saying is, well, why are you working on your daily sports betting overtime stuff? Just go to bed. I'm going to be real honest with you. As I sit here and talk to you right now, I'm not sleepy. I'm normally up at this time. And so for me to go to bed and try to go to sleep that fast, I don't know that as I'm currently recording this episode at 12:13, with it starting at 4, getting 3 hours sleep, I don't know that that's enough time for my body to just run on all morning. So it looks like what I'm going to do is watch it and it go off around 7. I don't know whether I'll get you guys a episode out before I lay down or after I lay down and get my thoughts going. But I guess my issue, as it is with any wrestling program that you watch, is when the card is subpar, it becomes mediocre. I know that every night of this G1 is not going to be unbelievably awesome and I'm going to be excited about it. So I remember the days of last year when I tried to do this. I tried to watch every card last year. I wasn't trying to write articles. I wasn't trying to talk to you guys. It became a grind. And it became something that I just didn't want to do. I would look at the schedule and be like, man, I can't stand that wrestler. Oh, I don't like that one. Oh, that person didn't have a good match. And it was like I was talking myself out of watching it and preparing for it. So I don't want to do that this year. So I've kind of threw in, I'm going to write about it. I'm going to podcast about the G1 tournament and hope that you guys listen, that you guys like it, because I am going to run this marathon this year. And you guys know I hate to run. Now, I know I'm not the only one doing this. Dave Metzler does it, every year. Brian Alvarez tries to keep up with him, and he even talks about staggering to the finish line or just flat out skipping some nights. Well, guys, we're going to have to see how I do. Because you guys know me, I'm pretty straight up with you. I'll fully admit when I miss or if I give up on a card. If I see that it's gonna be garbage, I may just tell you guys that and skip it. And I may skip something just because there is something else, like SummerSlam. But anyway, that weekend, that Nashville weekend, I am looking forward to with Ric Flair's roast, with SummerSlam, with Ric Flair's um, actual match card. Oh, I don't know about adding the G1 there. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that right now because it's July 16th and it's day one of the G1 tournament. So let's look at what's coming up. It seems like New Japan Pro Wrestling sat down and made sure that the opening and closing nights are really good to suck you guys in. Now remember, Saturday and Sunday, the first two nights of the tournament are free for you to view. All you need to do is go to I almost said WWE, www.njpwworld, and that's all, no spaces, njpwworld.com. And so you can count on this first card being a banger. You're going to get to see Jay White, who is the current World Heavyweight Champion, Okada, who Jay White just beat for the championship, Will Ospreay, who has also been the heavyweight champion and is yelling that he got screwed out of the championship because he got an injury and was forced to drop it. Then you have Tanahashi, who he is just a legend. And he has held the championship numerous times. He's won the G1, I believe it's 3 times. And so we're going to be talking more about him. But this is all what you're going to see in this first night. Now, remember, you're going to have those preview tags that are going to be happening on the undercard to kind of progress different storylines and get others going. And I know you're saying, well, why are they going to have to get storylines going, or are they not going on some of the ones they already have? Yes, but you have to remember, in the G1, you're going to have a lot of guys that have never faced each other before. And so they're going to create storylines out of that, probably using their factions. The first big match in the G1 is gonna be Tanahashi going up against Aaron Henare. Now here's the thing. They are starting out with this, and they're going to be talking about the different records that he is going to be broken, the records he already holds. They're going to be putting him up as the legend he truly is, guys. He's going to dominate the very start of this card, and he's going to start it off hot. And I know that you're going to say, why do I think that? Well, I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind that he's going to bring it the very first day of G1. He holds almost every G1 climax record in matches, wins, and match length. When Tanahashi starts tonight's match on Saturday, he will officially tie Tenzan with 21 G1 climax entries. Guys, there's only been 32, and he's been in 21 of them. Now, it's been 3 years since Tanahashi has won the G1, and he's wanting to reverse that this year. And when you listen to a lot of people giving their previews, or you listen to people on New Japan World give their previews, guys, they're not counting him out of winning the C block. His nickname is the Ace for a reason. And he's been known to run off a bunch of victories back to back to back to back before to win a block in the G1. Now, Tanahashi is not a bit worried about not main eventing the first night. In interviews, he has said that's fine. He's starting the night, and he's okay with Okada finishing it. But here's the thing that I find fascinating. When I was looking through these records and I was listening in the previews, different people talking about his records. The one record that absolutely wowed me was Tanahashi holds the highest all-time total match time record. In all of the G1 tournaments that he's been in, his matches have lasted 42 hours, 55 minutes, and 55 seconds. Yes, you heard me right. 42 hours. That's just crazy to me. I told you guys in the first preview episode that I like my matches to be 8 to 17, 18 minutes. Oh, I can't imagine 42 hours. So, what I wanted to look at is among this year's wrestlers, who's second? Well, second, as it will come to no surprise, is Okada at 27 hours, 53 minutes, and 14 seconds. Yeah, Okada is the next guy, and he's 15 hours behind Tanahashi in match time. That's crazy to me. Total craziness. Now, guys, I like his opponent. I like Aaron Henare. He's part of the tag team Aussie Open. If you watched AEW, you got to see him come on, I believe it was 2 or 3 different shows. He took part in Forbidden Door, and his team is the United Empire. The United Empire's leader is Will Ospreay, and Will has already challenged Aaron to match himself and Jeff Cobb in the tournament. I don't think Aaron's going to do that, but I have enjoyed Hanare's work, and I love his enthusiasm. And if you hear him do a promo, he's hilarious. I am just not sure of it. Why? Because he is making his G1 Climax debut this year. This is his first time. And they say when it's your first time, you don't know what you're getting into. With all the different matches, the travel, and going up against different opponents so quickly. There are some people that will wrestle Tuesday and then wrestle a different opponent on Wednesday. Then you're going to see there are some people that will wrestle one opponent and then have 12 days off and wrestle their next opponent, and then they'll be back to back. So Aaron is looking for his first singles wins against every single member of the C Block. And 5 out of the 6 block matches he's going to face, he's never faced them before. They're first time matchups. Guys, I really look for him to lose almost all of his matches. I think Tanahashi makes him look good tonight, and I hope his enthusiasm comes through. Now, after this match, we're going to have Will Ospreay versus El Phantasmo of the D Block. El Phantasmo's nickname is ELP. And you'll hear them sometimes refer that to him. He's a little off, a little crazy. Some of you may remember him from Impact Wrestling or New Japan Strong. And I'll be honest with you, I can't tell you how excited I am for this match. I am really looking forward to Ospreay versus El Phantasmo. I enjoyed both of them. Now, their styles used to be somewhat similar until Ospreay's injury here recently. El Phantasmo has also upped his game the last 6 to 9 months by coming to America, by then flying back to Japan and getting challenged some more, and then coming back to America. I feel like he's grown a lot. Guys, I look for Ospreay to possibly win the D Block, or he'll be really close and get screwed again so that he can complain about the Billy Goat. But I think the big surprise of the D Block is gonna be El Phantasmo. I think a lot of people are going to discover him. I think he's gonna wow a lot of people. Now, is he gonna win a lot of matches? Probably not. I think the D Block is the hardest block. I think it's got probably 4 out of 7, maybe 5 out of 7 could actually win the D Block. So I just don't think El Phantasmo has the power to get through this block. So no, I don't think he's going to win a lot of matches. However, when you watch his matches, he's going to tell you a lot of stories. And he's going to give you matches that you're going to remember. Especially on this very first night. I think him and Will Ospreay pull out all stops. And I think we see a banger. And write this down. The very last night of the G1 tournament, he is going to be tangling with Shingo Taki. And a lot of people are going to be also talking about that match when this tournament's over. So I look forward to tonight with that. The B Block, I think a lot of people are almost sleeping on this match. And I don't really understand why. It is Sonata versus Jay White. Now, Jay White is coming off of upsetting and winning the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship from Okada. Then he came over to the United States and had an awesome match at AEW's Forbidden Door pay-per-view. And he appeared at a lot of different AEW Dynamite and Rampage shows, stealing the attention from the AEW stars. And he left a lot of American fans and AEW fans saying, who's that? Well, Jay White isn't headlining and main eventing tonight. And he's a little irritated about that. He is the champion, and he's not main eventing. He says this is very unusual. However, it's happened 3 times in the last 12 years. So, what's going on? So, when I asked around and when I listened to different previews, how it was explained was New Japan just wants the most well-known, hottest, most sexy star to main event and to draw fans in around the world since they're getting this tournament for free. And that's Okada. This is going to be some people's first time ever watching the G1 Climax tournament, and they really want to put on a show. They know Jay White does that. But they want someone that they can definitely count on, and that's Okada. So not only does Jay White feel like New Japan is kind of pushing him down, they don't want him to main event, but who else is also taking this kind of as a slap in the face is Sonata. He's good, guys. He's very good. Matter of fact, he's pretty much exceptional. And he was headed for an absolutely great year earlier by winning the United States IWGP Championship. However, he had his face broken basically by Will Ospreay. You have to understand that Sonata is a very good looking young man, and he was getting a lot of fan support. He was having great matches. He was winning a lot of great matches, and then he got hurt. This setback didn't stop him. He picked up right where he left off, and this could be his coming out party in the G1. And he feels like people are not taking him seriously. People aren't picking him to upset Jay White tonight. However, with Gato's booking, they very well could see Jay White overlooking him, being more concerned about the main event, being more concerned about complaining, and Sonata slip in there and get a win. So look for, with his talent and Jay White's snub of not headlining this very first night as the champion, to push these two, no matter who's winning, to an unbelievable night that New Japan is wanting. Now, since we've been talking about main eventing and headlining, let's go to the main event. That's in the A block, and it is Okada versus the American Jeff Cobb. Okada just lost his championship on June 12th to Jay White. But he's still shown that the Rainmaker is the one to main event over Switchblade tonight. Okada showed himself to be very good at AEW's Forbidden Door in the same match as Jay White. However, Okada felt like Adam Hangman Page and Adam Cole got in his way a little bit. Okada is the defending G1 Climax champion. He won it last year. And he proved that he could overcome and beat Tanahashi. But they did him the same way they're doing Jay White. In order to rise to the main event status, he had to fight Okada for years to get to the top of the card. So you better believe Okada is going to make Jay White do the same thing. Everyone is saying Okada is going to supplant Ishii one day as the greatest modern G1 Climax wrestler. Guys, I think he already is. I'm not a big Ishii fan, and you'll find that out in a future preview. Now, let's talk Jeff Cobb. Like I said, he is a Samoan American. He is also an Olympian. He is unreal with his pyre wrestling. You guys, when you watch him, he's not short, but he is very stout. He's almost as wide as he is tall. Last year, he had a record-tying 16 points with an 8-1 record in the block. But he lost out to Okada. He put on 3 spectacular matches with Okada last year, one of which was on the last night of last year's tournament. That last night had people talking. Okada came out with the victory, though. So Jeff Cobb has something to really vie for. He has the moves and the sequences to get a crowd to come alive. But that's one thing I want to remind you guys of. There's not going to be any cheering from the crowd this year due to the COVID restrictions that New Japan's not lifting until September. Now, he reminds me of a WWE superstar with his entertaining nature, his confident attitude, and guys, he does a lot of the same moves. You're always going to see the tour of the islands be his finisher, whereas some of the other wrestlers, if you see them one night, they'll have one finisher, and when you see them the next night, they'll have a different finisher. It depends on who their opponent is and how the match is laid out. Jeff Cobb, he has a lot of the same moves that he does in the same sequence. Like I said, a WWE superstar would. I think that is something that kind of holds him back. I'm actually shocked that he hasn't signed. You've seen him in AEW for a couple shows. You've seen him in Impact Wrestling for a couple shows. You've seen him New Japan Strong when he's come home. But he's never signed anywhere to stay for any length of time in America. I think he's going to have to do that in order to get all of that entertainer stuff out of his system. So there are 4 matches tonight, 1 in each block, and then the undercard, like I said, is going to be some tag team matches. I look forward to this, but don't forget it's free. Go to www.njpwworld, that stands for New Japan Pro Wrestling World.com. It's going to be free. But if you do the subscription 1 month for those of you in Europe is going to be 7.16 euros. And here in the United States, as of right now, it is $7.62. You'll have to re-up it again for the month of August. So it's going to end up costing you about $15 to watch the tournament. It's better than $50 for a pay-per-view, though. Don't forget to come over to theovertimenetwork.com. I'll have a bunch of articles there. I have this preview article up. It doesn't go into the detail that I have been, but you're going to see the latest articles and all the podcasts dealing with pro wrestling. Guys, do not forget to subscribe to this podcast so that I can keep you up to date. You don't have to worry about going and searching for me. If you hit subscribe or follow, I'll be in your inbox all the time. So if you guys have any questions, comments, problems, or protests, you can get a hold of me at prowrestlingot@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on Instagram, Pro Wrestling Overtime. You can hit me up on Twitter. It is Pro Overtime, 2 O's, Pro Overtime. On Facebook, it is Pro Wrestling Overtime. I look forward to talking to you guys about this tournament. Please, please write me and get me through this G1 fatigue. Guys, I look forward to talking to you soon. Hopefully I'll see you down the road.